God said, this is your time to not only step on his neck, but let him know, just like the title say, now what? Because my Father said that I'm still worthy. Because my Father said that I'm still good enough. Because my Father said, it's not about what you say, it's not about what other people say, it's not about, even about what other people think, but it's about what God has to say.
Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of Effective Woman of God podcast. I am your host, Tashiqua, and today I'm going to be talking about how your insecurities will make you fall, how your insecurities will strip you from your relationship with God, or they can, how your insecurities can lead to disobedience. I thought about this a while ago when God was giving me like my topics and everything for my podcast. I thought about this and I forgot who was preaching, but I know I was at church and they start talking about Saul. And one of the scriptures that screamed out to me was when Samuel tells Saul, even when you seen yourself small in your eyes, God lifted you up. And I think that's how it go. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But he was addressing the fact that God brung him from the least of the tribes of all the tribes in Israel, and not even the least of the tribes, but the least of the clan in his specific tribe. So he brung him from the bottom of the bottom and exalted him and made him king. But because of Saul's insecurities and because of his fear, the kingdom was stripped from him, and God's presence was also stripped from him. And sometimes God will call us to do a thing, and God will call us to step out, and it is very uncomfortable. And we may second guess, like, are we really chosen for this? Are we really worthy to do this thing? Like, God, are you sure that you want to choose me? But God doesn't make mistakes. God is not a man that he shall lie. God doesn't change his mind. When God calls you, he's called you, and he has validated you. You don't need validation from anybody else. When he has called you, he will secure you. You don't need security from anybody else. Like, God will be with you in the calling. But sometimes I think we get so wrapped up in the thought of people, the thought of the stage, the thought of the fame, all these things, and multiple things can creep in and cause us to have friction in our relationship with God. And this is what happened to Saul in this passage. There was multiple things that led up to this moment that Saul did not do. Saul continuously doubted who God called him to be. He continuously doubted like his authority over the people. When Saul is first anointed as king or called forth, he even says to Samuel, like, am I not the least of the tribes of Israel? And am I not the least clan? And Samuel has to let him know, like, God has chosen you, God will be with you. He gives him a whole list of things that's going to happen when he leaves his presence, when he goes back to his father's home. And the moment that Saul and Samuel meet, Samuel instantly starts showing him that he's a king, treating him like a king. He runs into Samuel because he's looking for these donkeys, and Samuel is like, your donkeys are going to be fine, you're going to see them, but I come have dinner with me, and I've prepared like a dinner for you. And he had already had Saul's plate set to the side, and he had set him at the head of the table, showing him like, this is where you belong, this is your rightful place, this is where God has placed you. And still Saul has all these questions. And so Samuel sends him away, and he tells him like all these things that are going to happen. And then all the things that he says actually comes to pass. Saul runs into two men. They give him food. And then he keeps going and he runs into prophets. The Spirit of God comes over Saul, and Saul begins to prophesy. And then not only does he prophesy, but it says that God changed his heart. And it said the Spirit came over him powerfully. And then the next thing that happened was fame. Like, people started to realize, like, oh my God, that's Saul from the Benjamite clan. Is he now a prophet? And so then it became a saying, like, is Saul among the prophets? So then he has fame. And then Saul's height alone showed that he was worthy. He looked like a king. It says that he was taller than everybody amongst them, in the crowds. Like, he was the tallest one there. His build was built for a king. Like, all of these things God points out. But still, when it comes for Samuel to call out the tribes and show the people, like, this is who God has chosen, this is from this tribe, from this clan, When it's time to actually bring Saul out, Saul is hiding among the supplies. And so people are like, where is he? Samuel has to inquire of the Lord, like, where is he at? And God's like, he's there hiding among the supplies, because he still just felt like he was unworthy to step into this position. And even leaving from that place, God gives him another confirmation, and he changed the hearts of the people to start following him. There's like some little haters in between that are like, is this who's going to lead us? Like, how can this man save us? And because they felt like this, they didn't bring him any gifts. And theologians say, like, because Saul didn't say anything, and it says like, and Saul said nothing. And I looked it up. Some theologians are saying, like, it was because of his restraint, and he was showing wisdom to not lash out, and these, like, this and that. And to me, from my standpoint, it looks like Saul didn't respond because he agreed with them. Like, he still felt unworthy of the call. So he didn't, to me, reading it, he didn't say anything to them because he had the same questions in his mind. Like, how am I going to save these people? How am I going to lead? Maybe they're right. And sometimes I think we can focus on the negative thing and what people are saying negatively about our call and who God has called us to be, rather than looking at the confirmations that God has laid before us, looking at the people who are standing behind us, and the people who are honoring the call of God on our lives, and honoring that call ourselves. Like, we look at what we lack and not what God has given us, not what we gain, not what value we actually do have. We look at the things that we don't have, and we come up with this list of reasons of why, God, I cannot do this thing, why I cannot step out, why I cannot prophesy, why I cannot write that book, why I cannot start this ministry. Like, all these things, we look at why God, like, Lord, this is why I'm not qualified, rather than looking at the list of what God says, who God says you are, looking at the list of qualifications God has given you. So we have to remember that who we are before God, because we may also be looking at, like, the things that we did, the things in our past, like what actually what happened and led me to Christ. And so I'm gonna stay in the shadows and I'm gonna pray for people, but I'm not gonna share my testimony. Like, but who you are before God does not matter. Like, the Bible literally says that he created you new. And the Bible also says that we overcome him by the word of the Lamb, by the word of our testimony and the blood of the Lamb. So people need your testimony. People need to hear your story. God has a specific person for all of us to reach, a specific crowd for all of us to reach. And if you don't open your mouth, God will raise someone up, but will the impact be the same? Like, your voice matters. What you have to say matters. The calling of God on your life actually matters. And so Saul goes from this place, and then a situation arises where um this army they come and they say, like, basically the Israelites needs to bow down to them, and they want to gouge out one eye of all the Israelites, and they're like, basically they're trying to start a war. And so the people are crying, the people are afraid, they're like, this is what's going to happen. Saul hears about it. He comes out. He's like, why is everybody crying? Why is everybody, why everybody tripping? And so the people tell him, like, this is what they've said. This is what they want to do to us. They're starting a war, whatever. And so Saul is like, instantly, the Spirit of God comes over him, another confirmation, and he gets angry because now these people are trying to come for his people, God's people. And so he leads them into battle, and he's victorious. Like, and then they are ready to anoint him king, and he's ready to step into it. He's not hiding anymore. But that sense of fear never leaves Saul. The sense of rejection never leaves Saul, because it shows up later in his kingship, where God is continually giving him specific instructions, and he's continuously failing at God's instructions because he's worried about what the people think. He's saying, like, oh, Samuel, the people were going to desert me, so I did this offering. Oh, the people wanted to take the Amalekites the good plunder, and they wanted to keep King Agag. And so this is why we did not kill every single thing, and we didn't kill King Agag. Like God had given him specific instructions to go into the land and to destroy the Amalekites because of what they did to the Israelites when the Israelites was in the wilderness. And Samuel tells him, the Lord wants you to destroy everything and kill the king, who they were also very much evil, like very evil people. And Saul did not do that because the people wanted to take the best cattle. They wanted to take the best, like the best of what they had, and then they destroyed the things that did not matter. And then they wanted to torture and capture the king instead of just killing him. So Samuel is like, yeah, here again, you are failing the instructions of God because you're worried about the people. And this insecurity that Saul had stripped God stripped the kingdom from him in his presence. And before Samuel leaves him, he tells him like God has chosen another who is going to be better than you. And then Samuel is leaving, and Saul reaches out, falls to the ground, and rips a piece of Samuel's robe. And Samuel tells him like, just like this just happened, the kingdom has been ripped from you. And from that moment on, God rejects Saul, and God strips the kingdom from him, and he strips his presence from him. And it says that God gave him a tormenting spirit, let a tormenting spirit come over him. I started thinking, like, what if me not stepping out in the thing that God has called me to do would separate me from God's presence? What would I do then? If me not stepping into what God has called me to do would strip all the blessings that he has for me, all the blessings that the things that I would do to bless other people would be stripped from me. Like, how would I really feel? Is my fear worth losing my relationship with God? Is my fear worth the separation from his presence? Is my fear worth becoming the person he has called me to be, to bless the people of this world, to do the thing, the commandment that God has given me to go and make disciples out of the world, out of all the nations? Like, is that fear really worth it? Is people pleasing worth it? Because sometimes some of us, we're not necessarily scared of the thing that God has called us to do, but we're scared of what people may think. We're scared if people may think that we're qualified. We're scared if people will have bad things to say about us. We're scared if we're going to ruffle feathers when God calls us to say the thing that he wants us to say. And I too sometimes have this fear of like, Lord, am I qualified? Can I do this? Do I know enough? Have I learned enough? Have I studied enough? Like, what are they gonna say? Prime example, not too long ago, I shared a reel on TikTok, and then I shared it to my Facebook and to Instagram, all the platforms. And it was basically about me celebrating my 1 year of celibacy, abstinence, whatever y'all want to call it. I never know which one, but it was about, me celebrating that 1 year. Now, technically, I've given my life to God officially in the year of 2021. And as soon as I gave my life to God, I was ready. I'm like, I had got a word right before that where a prophet told me like, you gotta run because you have some catching up to do. Like, because I know that God wanted me to surrender a long time ago, but we want to do us. We think we got time, all of this stuff. And so, but I finally gave my life to God, and I knew I had to pick up on some things. God had already been showing me along the way, like changing my heart to do the thing that he's called me to do, reaching women, different things like that. So some of the things I had already started, but in a worldly way. Like I started my lives, like girl talk and things like that. And eventually it started sounding more of like a Bible study because I started to surrender more and more. But before, it was more of topics that women want to talk about, the world wants to talk about. And so I had already started doing some things, but I hadn't completely given God my yes. And um, so I had given God my yes in 2021, and I started doing things for the ministry. Well, for my ministry, not in my home church, but I started just stepping into the things that God had called me to do. But in the midst of me giving God my yes, I was also in a relationship, and so I would have moments where I would be keeping myself. I might go like a couple months of like not doing anything, and then not only was I in a relationship, but we lived together. And so I did break off the relationship, but It's not a black and white situation. No, I'll just put it like that. It wasn't a black and white situation. And so we still lived together. And so I would go sometime. He was in full support of me giving my life to God. But we're still human. We still live together. There were very much strong feelings. This was somebody that I was with for a very long time. And so I will fall. I will have this back and forth of like doing good and then falling, doing good and then falling. And then eventually I moved out, we moved our separate ways, whatever. Um, but I still had this struggle with this specific person doing good, falling, or whatever. And then eventually it completely stopped. But now I had this void that I wanted to feel. And so I started talking to someone else. And I had the same issue. I would do good and then I would stop. And this went on for a couple months. And then some trauma happened. And so I completely stopped. I gave my life to God. And I made up in my mind at my retreat, like, okay, this is my moment to trust God with my salvation. One of my sisters in Christ had an idea for us to fall into these pillows as a trust exercise. And she said, get in your mind, whatever you have been struggling. I can't remember exactly how she said it, but whatever you've been struggling with God, to give to God. And I felt like I had been doing my salvation on my own, like trying to get everything right, trying to clean myself up and doing all these things on my own. But this one area I was still struggling with, and I hadn't given God. I felt like I hadn't trusted him with it, because I was so afraid of falling. I felt like it was something that I could not do, to abstain from sex, to not be in a relationship, because I have been in a relationship majority of my teenager and adult life. And so I felt like I would continuously fall. And so, but in that moment, I made up in my mind, like, God, I'm going to trust you in this area. And so, long story short, I set out for this journey of keeping myself, not getting into a relationship, waiting for the man that God has for me. And so I posted this reel because I had made it to 1 year of being abstinent. And when I had originally had the idea, I was coming up on the year. And I was like, going back and forth, because I'm like, I really don't want to do this because, this is going to put my business out here. Like, Lord, it's going to show that I wasn't faithful to you this entire time. Like, all these insecurities, thinking about what people are going to say, like, well, how has she been saved all this time, but she's just now celebrating 1 year? Like, I'm thinking about all these things, that don't matter. And God is steady pulling on me, like how it might bless someone, how somebody may need to hear this, how he even gave me the words to say over the video that was in my heart to share, like, my journey, how I got to this point, how I did fall, but how God will keep you, and how it doesn't have to be just in this area, but anything that you're struggling with. Like, God gave me all these words to say, and I still was like back and forth. And so then it's like a month goes by, two months go by, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really need to do this. So by the 2 months, I finally record the video. But then I still don't post it. And so then some more time go by, and then I finally post it, and I'm so uncomfortable because I feel like this is so vulnerable. Like, I'm putting myself out here, like, Lord, what do you have me doing? And so I finally posted. And it was kind of like that moment where like they show the videos, like you texting somebody and then you say something scary, like that you're really afraid to say, but you say it anyway. And then you like throw your phone, you're going to get away from your phone. Like, that's how I felt. Like, I'm going to post it and then I'm getting away from the phone. And so I posted it, and it kind of just like shot up. Like, I don't know what it has right now, but the last time I checked, it had like 2,000 or something views, a certain amount of shares, a certain amount of comments, like and it was from Instagram to Facebook to also like TikTok. And so so many people started sharing it and saying like how they were encouraged. And someone shared it and said how many months they were in and they were doing the same thing. I got some encouragement for me personally, like someone commented like, just encouraging me to keep going, and like, I'm 2 years in, congratulations. Like, just all this positive feedback. Now, was there negativity? I don't know. I'm sure maybe because, people are people. But what I paid attention to was the blessing that it was for everyone else. And I even had someone ask me like, I want to be able to do this. This is something that I know God has been wanting me to do. Can you be my accountability partner? And that blessed me probably the most because I did not expect that. And I was just like, wow. And I even shared with her, like, I really did not want to share that video. And she was like, well, I'm so glad that you did because you are such an inspiration to me. And I'm just like, And I celebrated the night on one of my date nights with God, which is something I had also started with. And I like share how my date nights with God filled that void of the thing that I was looking for in a relationship. Because on my journey, God let me know, like, you're not struggling with lust, you're struggling with intimacy. Like, you want that intimacy. And this is why you want to be with someone. And then I also had like a little bit of fear of being alone. But what if I did not post that video? What if I didn't start this journey because of that fear of being alone? Like, where would I be in my relationship with God now? Would God have turned his face away from me because of my disobedience? Like, my disobedience or my fear of being alone was is not worth like what I have experienced with God. And I say all the time, I wish I would have been done this. Like, I wish I would have been given God my yes. I wish I would have been surrendered completely to him, because the love that I have been able to experience with God is a love like no other. And this is no trigger to anyone else that may have issues, but I don't have daddy issues. Like, I wasn't searching for a man because my dad was not present. I wasn't searching for love because I didn't experience with my dad. Like, I experienced it with my dad. My parents will be celebrating 30 years of marriage coming up this year, and I seen healthy love. Like, and so a part of me just wanted that. There was a craving that wanted that, but I'm also have older brothers and we're 8 years apart. So I think that fear of being alone came from that, because I felt alone. I have a lot of cousins that are the same age as me and they all have sisters, but I was the only one that I'm coming over and it's just me. Like, when I leave from with them, I'm by myself, just with my parents. And so I think that was a fear that God had to address, but I would give that up for God again and again and again, like, because of what I've experienced with him. God is my best friend. God has been my lover. God has been my counselor. God has shown me what intimacy looks like. He has shown me what romance looks like now. So like, this love that's just so amazing. So when I get into my next relationship, I know off bat, like, what this love should look like. And most importantly, like, I've been able to be a blessing to other people. I've been able to be a charge in the spirit for other people. I've been able to encourage other people, that you too can do this, regardless if it's sex, if it's relationship, if it's drugs, if it's alcohol, like, whatever the void is that you've been using, like, you can give that to God and he will replace it. He will give you joy. He will fill the void. You don't have to be afraid to step out. You don't have to worry about what people may say, because God will also bring up people. Like I was talking about with Saul, he had people. God had changed the hearts of men to follow him because of this step that he took. But he was more so focused on his fear and what the people that were not supporting him was saying. But God will give you, because there will be opposition and there will be people who don't understand your change. And there will be people that feel like you're acting different, you acting funny, all these different things. But God will raise up people that will support you and that will be with you and that will walk with you. I have an accountability myself, which y'all know I've said multiple times. I have an accountability partner. And I just want to say, if you get an accountability partner, it only works if you're honest with your partner. Like, it's only gonna work. I've had my accountability partner for a couple years, I think, maybe 2 years. And I still was doing what I wanted to do. I wasn't sharing anything with her. Like, I was still having this struggle. And she knew that I was like talking to someone, but I never shared like details of what was going on, what I was struggling with, what I needed help with, until trauma happened. And, I fell, and everybody knew. God made it public for everybody in my church home to know. And I shared it with her because it was going to be known. And so I struggle with this thing in silence. But when I decided to partner with her and I began to share, like, I need you to pray for me. Like, I'm going through this. And then I decided to use my community and, just different things, in my date nights that kept me grounded. Like, then I was able to keep going. And, sometimes the enemy will try to magnify what we're losing. So I could have looked at like, oh, now I'm going to be alone. And, because I've started on this journey, I'm not going to lie, like, my friendships with some of my friends aren't the same. And that's okay. Like, because I also realized that I have to cling to the people, I have to cling to my strength. Like, when you give your yes to God, you have to find people. I don't care if it's just one person, two people, like, that are going to hold you accountable, that are going to pray for you, they're going to pray over you, that are going to pray with you, because this walk you cannot do on your own. And so I started to include her. And now to this day, if I'm struggling, and not in that area, but with anything, like, I'll tell her, can you pray for me? And now it's vice versa. Like, now she's able to open up to me, and she may say, can you pray for me? Like, be praying for me, or whatever it is. But, like, don't look at what you're losing. Look at where you're gaining. Look at the confirmations that that God's giving you. Don't focus on, what you did in the past, who your parents is, who your family members are, who your friends are. Don't worry about any of that. God will create you new. The people that love you will follow. Not to say that they may change with you, but they'll support you. And God will give you a community of people that will pray you through, that will hold your hand. God will fill the voids. God will equip your language. He will equip your mind if you are to speak. Whatever your calling is, God will make sure you have the tools to be effective in your call. And Saul couldn't see that. Saul couldn't see that God had already given him confirmation after confirmation after confirmation. When it was time for me to start this podcast, I did not want to, because I was like, everybody got a podcast. Like, I don't have nothing to talk about. Sometimes I still feel like, Lord, I don't got nothing to talk about. What do you want me to say to these people? But the more that I step into my call, like, the more that I speak, the more that first God started me off with the lives, and then God started me off with Bible studies, and then I started doing Bible studies, at my home church. But if I want to go even further back, I had an issue with speaking, period, and God gave me a job where I had to talk to people all day. Like, literally, my job is talking. And it's just funny how God will set you up for what you're called to do without you even knowing. So you may feel like you're not equipped. You may feel like you haven't had the right training and all these different things, but God may have you in a position where you already have been doing the thing that He's called you to do. You just been doing it outside of Him, or you haven't done it in the capacity or the new environment that He's going to put you in. But you have to just surrender to God and just say yes to Him. And God will be with you. Do not let your fear strip you from God. Don't let your insecurities strip you from God's presence. Don't let your insecurities strip you from the call of God on your life. Don't let your insecurities strip you from who you are called to be in this earth. Your insecurities will get you nowhere but staying in doubt, staying in fear, and staying still. God does not want us to stay still. God does not give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. God will be with you. God will quiet your thoughts, because it can cause you to be anxious, but God gives you scriptures that let you know that He does not give you anxiety. Be anxious for nothing, but pray about everything. Like, whatever you need, whatever you feel like you lack, you can find it in the Word. I'm telling you. Like, there's been multiple times where I felt like I was not worthy. Worthiness was a struggle for me for a very long time. And I had to just start stepping out and doing things afraid. And every time I noticed, like, okay, God is with me. I go back and watch my stuff and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, because in the moment you feel like you sound stupid. You're not making sense. You're running all over the place. But really that's just the enemy. Like, and then you go back and you're like, oh, wow, God really used me. And then God will send people. Like, I had to preach for the first time at my home church, like a week or so ago. And the preaching wasn't that bad. Like, I was a little nervous at first, but I knew that was the enemy. And so I started saying my scriptures and, just encouraging myself and allowing God to reassure me and just resting in Him and resting in His presence and His assurity. But it was ministering to people that I was very much uncomfortable with. And so I had made up in my mind, I'm not going to pray for anybody after the service. Like, because usually we call people up for prayer if you have a specific word that God has shared with you to share with someone and you give it to them. I'm like, I'm not praying about that, because I'm not praying for nobody. Like, who am I to pray for somebody? And so my mom gave me a word, and she was like, the God is going to give you a specific word for people to minister. And I'm like, I just said I wasn't doing that. And so I ended up praying and, just getting ready for the word. I had already had just about all of it like mapped out. And so I'm like, okay, I just need to pray over my message and like, just see if God wants to give me anything else to add. And so as I'm praying about the message, God starts dealing with me about specific people and he starts giving me a word for specific people. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so you do want me to do this. Like, you do want me to share a word for people. And I'm like, I don't know. But I'm like, okay, I'm going to be obedient because disobedience is, Samuel literally tells Saul, disobedience is like divination, like witchcraft. You might as well be doing witchcraft if you're going to disobey God. If you don't believe me, go read the scripture for yourself. First Samuel. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna be obedient. Like, I'm not gonna just not do what God says. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it afraid. I'm gonna do it however I gotta do it. I'm gonna do it. And so I just started praying and I'm like, okay, well, I was scared that I was gonna forget. So I'm like, okay, well, let me write it down in my notes, like each one of these words. And then I just continued to pray over the words. And I just prayed that God will give me confidence in him. God will give me godly confidence. That's one of my prayers. And that, I can't remember verbatim, but I just started to pray that God will be with me. God will help articulate my words, however God wants me to deliver it. And I was just like, okay, this is where we are. Like, I'm gonna just do it. And so after I got done preaching, I called up the three people that God gave me a word for, and I spoke, thus says the Lord, like whatever God told me to say. And I was very uncomfortable. And but I did it anyways. And I just had to have faith that what God has shared with me would bless them and would be a confirmation and that it was from God. And afterwards, multiple, I got confirmation from each one of them. And now God won't always give you a confirmation. Like he won't always reassure you. You just have to believe that God has called you. And one of the things that I got a word about was that to continuously say, I'm in my element. I'm in my element. This is who God called me to be. This is what God called me to do. Like, I already knew this day was gonna come. And because God has been equipping me and preparing me and he has been speaking this, and so now it's just my job to just say yes and just do it and just go forth. And so multiple confirmations afterwards, and it blessed me because then that gave me that confidence. Okay, Lord, you do speak to me, and God will do that sometimes so that so the next time he uses you, you don't have to go through all these different emotions and feelings for just to be used by God. And so don't allow your fear to handicap you and to freeze you. Let God lead you, let God guide you. God will be with you. If he has called you to do something, you doing the thing that God has called you to do is far more important than you allowing the fear to cripple you. Allow God to use you. Allow God to speak to you. Allow God to be with you. Say yes to God. Give him your full surrender. If that's where you need to start, then that's where you need to start, and know that God will be with you in that too. Your journey alone with God is a faith walk. Like, knowing that my name is going to be written in the Lamb's Book of Life is a faith walk. Like, taking up your cross daily is a faith walk. Crucifying yourself, it's a faith walk. All of it is faith. Knowing that God is going to protect you and be with you. And even I'm still single. I still don't got no man. But I'm not looking for a man. Let me throw that out there. I'm waiting for who God has for me. And I still have my moments where I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm feeling a little alone today, like the other day. And what did I do? I decided to go into worship, go into prayer, because God is going to fill that void. And the temptation is not going to stop when you give your life to God. The temptation is not the fear, he's not going to stop trying to place fear on you. It's up to you to make the choice that I am going to stick with God. I'm going to allow him to fill the voids. I'm going to allow myself to rest in him, trust in him, and know that he's with me, know that he's going to continuously be with me. Know that he's going to fill this void. I felt that way for a couple minutes. As soon as I got out of prayer, it was gone. Like, and that's not going to be the story every single time. Like, there's been times where I've been in situations where my heart was broken and one session of prayer didn't fix it, but I continued to keep going and keep going and keep chasing after God and keep laying before him until the thing that I was burdened with was lifted. Like sometimes you have to pray through your burden. Sometimes you have to pray through your heartbreak. You have to praise through your heartbreak. Like your heart is going to be broken sometimes, but God is still going to be with you. It's not going to be like when you're in the world and you have no solution for your heartbreak and you find all these different vices to fill it. God is going to be the thing to fill it, and He's going to sustain you, and He's going to be with you. And you just have to trust and believe in that, like, and trust and believe in Him. God will not lie to you. God will not change His mind about you. If He's called you, doesn't matter. I have, like I said, I gave my life to God in 2021. Here we are in 2026, and I'm just now completing a year, well, over a year of keeping myself. But what God said about me still remains the same. It's just up to me to actually walk into the path that He has for me and allow Him to mold me and equip me to be the person that will walk into the doors that He's called me to walk into, be the person that He's called me to be. Like what He said is still what He said. What are you going to be obedient to what He said or not? That's the choice that you have to make. That's the decision that you have to make. Are you going to put all your bets on God and what He said about you? Or are you going to put your bets on fear and put your bets on the opinions of people? Which one are you going to choose? We all have a choice. We have free will. God is not going to make you do anything. God is a gentleman. God will continue to pull on your heart. God will continue to like He will show Himself to you. He will give you that comfort. He will give you that love. But at the end of the day, the choice is yours. And so I am just wanting to encourage y'all to please choose God. Choose who He has called you to be. If you have to do it afraid, do it afraid. If you have to do it worried, do it worried. But know that He's going to be with you. Choose Him because He will not fail you. Your insecurities will fail you. Your doubts will fail you. Your disobedience will fail you. It will land you right in hell. And I don't mean to sound like harsh, but that's just what it is. Like you read your word, you will start to realize what your disobedience does to your relationship with God. And it's not worth it. Like God, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and he places that fear for you to, in that doubt, for you to choose the world over God. But God says that I've come to give you life and give you a life more abundantly. Choose to live. Like that's just what it comes down to. Choose to live.